Welcome to another edition of Member Spotlight. I'm Curtis Dean, and Member Spotlight is all about shining the spotlight on CBAN members and letting you, our other CBAN members and other people in the broadband community, know what they do and why you should get to know these people. And today I'm very excited to introduce a member of the CBAN Associate member community, and that is the folks at Gaia. And Marc Campagna is our guest here today on the show, live from Quebec City. And thanks, Marc, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You may be our first international guest. I'll have to chew on that a little bit. I may have been on with someone from England once, but hey, you're not even across, not even across the continent. So that you're at home here. We're all North America.
Not too far.
And your company certainly, while you may have your roots there, is worldwide. So first of all, let's people give them a personal introduction. What about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, I started in the telecom space in 2017, so already 7 years ago, and it was just I was a student at university. My parents wanted to get moved from the city to the countryside, wanted to get an internet connection. Only had 3 megabytes per second on DSL available at $75 a month. So I called the only person I knew in the space, an engineer at a big incumbent company, and we built a WISP to solve my parents' problem. So
Fantastic.
I started the journey climbing illegally on telecom poles and installing antennas and stuff like that from 2017 to 2019. And eventually in 2019, we created an ISP, a digital ISP, so on open access network in Canada that was called Oxio. And we became the fastest growing ISP in the country, the most loved ISP in the country. We went from 0 to 50,000 customers in 3 years.
Wow.
And we sold it last year for $100 million to Cogeco. They're also called Breezeline in the US. They have a US and a Canadian arm. And now they're a customer. They were a first customer with Gaia. So Gaia came out of this company. We started building it in 2021, and we've been commercializing it outside of our own operations since last year, since 2023.
So that is a real homegrown. You start with a problem, right? My parents can't get internet. You innovate a solution, which is let's use a wireless technology to get it to them. And that turns into another opportunity, and then a complete pivot to a completely different part of the industry, which is now you're in less on the service provider as far as an internet provider into a software as a service provider. So that's really a cool description.
Absolutely. We got into the telecom connectivity rabbit hole and never got out of it. We love that space.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that rabbit hole and how you've tried to solve, or I would say fill in the rabbit hole, but we don't want to fill in the rabbit. How do you feed the rabbits? So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, what does Gaia do? What is your solution and who's it for? And how did you get from the very beginning of creating a software company from scratch to where you are today?
Yeah. So Gaia is an OS, an operating system for internet service providers. I don't use the word OSS BSS because I think it's somewhat outdated and archaic, and we want to distance ourselves from the traditional OSS BSS vendor because I believe we're having a different approach to it.
And nobody knows what it means, Marc. Honestly, outside of our own little tech speak here in the industry, nobody understands what it means.
Exactly. And even people in our space, sometimes you talk to ISPs and you take it for granted that they know what OSS BSS is, but if they've built their own grown system forever and never was in the market to look for it one day, they might be surprised that we say those weird words bundled together to describe what we're doing. So we're an operating system. It's much more simpler. And what we do is we help ISPs create amazing customer experiences, increasing customer lifetime value while improving operational efficiency to our customers. And the main differentiator and what we've realized, it's twofold. So, hey, if you're an evolving, innovative, and you're growing your business, you need your software to be customizable to your needs, how you serve customers. And when you're at 5,000 customers, you might connect and serve your customers in a different way than when you're at 50,000 customers. The operations gets more complex exponentially as you scale your business, and you want to have the flexibility to customize your software to your operations and not the other way around.
Yeah.
And when we were an ISP, the software vendors we were partnering with all had their secret sauce on how they believe an operator should work. And they were trying to force you to and dictate you how you should operate with their secret sauce. And we were like, you know what, it's not how we want to do things. So
Hmm.
we created this concept of workflow editors where we can customize our own platforms and even build integrations directly with our platforms to create any types of workflows you want and use Gaia as a single pane of glass, but integrate it with a bunch of other systems and tools that you believe is reliable and makes sense for your business. And the other thing that is, we always talk about customer experience. In the past, legacy OSS, BSS were more associated to core systems than to how to manage your customers. And
Hmm.
I believe that if you want to be successful in today's world, you need to care about your customers, and your core systems, your backend, how it operates needs to be tied directly in with the interface that your customers are interacting with. And we're connecting the two. We have an online checkout that is directly integrated with our OS, with our backend CRM. That when an order gets in, all the data gets put in the CRM and then gets displayed in the work orders that field techs can pick up and go install the customers. You can automatically dispatch a technician and all the good stuff. And we wouldn't be able to do that if we didn't have any customer facing components of our
Hmm.
platform.
Well, they really do all have to, all the elements have to intertwine. Um,
Exactly.
I've worked with a couple of our members who were startups, right? So they're starting from zero customers and wanting coming out of the gate. One of the things they want to be able to differentiate themselves with their competitors, because almost all have competitors, is how do I make the customer experience more seamless, more smooth? And one of the things that has always been important for the customer facing end is um, meet the customer where they are and give them the access to um, critical customer functions and functionality in a platform that they're familiar with and using. In other words, don't make somebody drive into your office to do a simple change to their account or to update something. Allow them, empower them to do that online. The other thing that I've noticed too is um, especially newer companies, and especially when you're in a very competitive market, is you not only have to be agile, but you have to be very efficient. And any operation that requires, multiple mouse clicks, or as we used to say in the old days, the swivel chair, makes it adds to complexity. It adds to staff, honestly, and it also means that staff has less time interacting with customers because they are spending more time doing processes than they are actually engaging with their customers.
Absolutely. We're interacting with the customers that we want to work with is customer centric companies, and we want to help them bring the best experience products at the best price possible to their customers. And that's part of it is if, and also the other interesting part is um, most of our customers are rural ISPs. They have
Hmm.
a hard time recruiting and attracting very technical talent most of the time. And our platforms, the way we see it, is it's gives superpowers to non-technical folks and turn them into technical folks
Mm.
because they can abstract the data, the complex data that is usually in a engineering focused platform. You pour it back in the single pane of glass. You have clean dashboards, clean triggers of, oh, this customer is down because of this CPE device. Go look there and do this action. And then you go there and you realize that you can trigger an action that solves the problems. While in the past, if you were a traditional service provider, you would have needed to pass it to layer two technical support or
Right.
even to the NOC team or even above that. So this is really our philosophy is we want to work with people that are customer centric, and we want to do everything so that the money gets back into your customers. And if your customers are happy, we believe you're going to be a very successful company, which is going to make us successful in the long run.
Walk along in success with those folks. Absolutely. Um, the Let's talk a little bit about the other platforms you have to integrate with. Your operating system is not cannot operate without interfacing with other types of systems, whether they be
Yes.
the things that activate services, all of that stuff. So talk about how you've gone about integrating with the various and dozens of other software platforms that are out there that are also necessary to successfully run an ISP.
Yes. So we let me just think on how would be the best way to frame it. We do everything from lead to cash of our customers, and
Okay.
then we integrate with a bunch of partners to get there. So,
Got
for example, if you think on the construction side, there are a bunch of GIS platforms and fiber management platforms like Vetro
it.
that are out there that are modern, and we integrate with them, and we enable our customers to have their geospatial data and their source of record within Vetro, but we use that to empower serviceability of an address, and also get that metadata that if this particular address splicing is not done yet, when our order is confirmed via our website, it automatically assign the availability that you choose from on the checkout. It goes validate the availability of a team that is technical enough to do splicing, and not dispatch it to any types of teams.
Right.
So this is just an example that partnering with other vendors that have great products can allow us to empower our end users and work end in end. We integrate also with payment service providers. Obviously, the Paymentus is coming soon for one of our customers, but we have Stripe, IPPay, all the
Mhm.
traditional folks. Um, we also integrate with CRM platforms, so think Klaviyo, HubSpot, even email provider like SendGrid, Mailchimp, others. We integrate also on the network side, so Netbox, MikroTik, also on the provisioning side directly with the equipment vendor like Calix,
Mhm.
Adtran, and many others on the WISP side as well. We are network agnostic. We believe there's multiple ways to serve Americans, and the density, the topology, the way you should connect your customers depends on a multiple of factors that we're not the best suited to choose from. So we work with companies that have this knowledge, and we work with WISP, fiber, LTE base companies, fixed wireless, a bunch of companies. So we
Mhm.
integrate with all those equipment vendors that have the network piece, and we automate the provisioning via a platform and via the integration with that, and also are able to extract the network monitoring data that they get from those platforms and make it consumable for non-technical people. So we
Right.
don't want to replace the Calix and the Adtran tools. We want to enhance it for a different profile of person who are looking at this data set.
Translate that data, that technical data, into the hands of a customer service relations person that just needs to understand what's going on, doesn't need to understand the science behind it.
Exactly. People like me who are not network engineers, but care
Mhm.
about the customers and wants to serve them.
Exactly. So you guys have humble beginnings, and you mentioned Consigo was your first customer because that's who bought out your WISP, but
Kajeko, yes.
Cogeco,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, not
yeah, sorry.
Conseco. So talk a little bit about how that has evolved from that one customer, where you are today, and where do you think you're going in the next few years?
Yeah, we started in June of 2023 to commercialize our platform outside our company, even if it was in operation since 2021.
Hmm.
We have more than 20 customers today. So we signed 20 something customers in the past 14 months. We have 15-ish customers that are live as we speak, and the remaining are getting onboarded on our platform today. And our goal is to serve every single ISPs that care about their customers globally. We started with humble beginnings, but now we have amazing investors. I made some money from my past ventures also that I invested very heavily in this new venture. We are well funded to support any types,
Hmm.
size, shape, or form of ISPs in the world, and we want to work with all of them that care about their customers and want to bring great customer experiences to their users.
One of the things that over the years I've learned from ISPs, especially small ones, is that a conversion from one platform to the other can be a very painful experience and can sometimes take a long time. So maybe talk about if there is an ISP out there that likes what they're hearing, but they're really afraid of that transition. Talk them down off the ledge a little bit about what that feels like for your customers.
Yes. So it's funny. I said to my investors in the past shareholder letter that we're going to live or die by implementations.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is the industry is filled with archaic software that makes it very and extremely difficult to migrate customers from one platform to another. And
Was
those
that a glitch
companies
or a feature?
I would say
Yes, it
that's
is to
both.
both.
That's both. And I would say also that if you look at their P&L, and some are public companies today, a big chunk of their revenue comes from professional services. So they
Mhm.
are incentivized to keep the status quo because that's how they make money, and that's how a customer cannot uh, move away from their platform. We are a new entrant. We have nothing to lose. The only reason would make us lose in this market is if we have one customer who signs with us and gets a bad experience in the
Mm.
implementation process. So our best marketing is from our customers, and we have a bunch of logos and customers on our website, and we're going to keep adding more. And I encourage everyone to reach out to them and ask how the implementation has been. It's always somewhat of a lift internally. Like, don't get me wrong, it's your core system. It's going to operate a big chunk of your operations, but we try to make it as seamless as possible, and we are investing heavily in it. And to this day, the way we work is we most of the time don't even charge implementations. We show to the customer how much it would cost if we would charge it, but we discount it to zero if they stay in scope of that implementation.
Sure.
If, for example, they come a day before going live and they're like, hey, we want this new integration by tomorrow, we might be like, hey, here's a rate card. It's going to
Yeah.
take this number of hours. We're going to do it for you. But we discount it to zero because we our product starts at the implementation and the migration of the other platform, and we are doing this white glove approach where we want customers to have delightful experience so they can spread the words and say to other like-minded ISPs, hey, you should definitely work with Gaia. It's not going to be as much of a pain as you'd think. And we do
Mhm.
this for two reasons. One, we are customer centric and highly care about our customers, but also we want to be a big company, and we want to work with companies that have a bunch of ambitions. And usually those companies that are growing and going well are going to be scared of migrating because they're going to be, hey, it's going to be a pain, or I've gone through it in the past and I don't want to migrate my customers today. It's going to be too big of a shit show.
Yeah.
Um, and we want the story to spread that actually, you know what, it's not that bad, and it's going to bring tremendous value to your business because we need to onboard a critical number of customers per year if we want to be successful. So this is really why we do it, and we are investing heavily into implementation and migration.
Well, shameless plug. I'll put a little crawl on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube. We're talking about small and focused on growth. That's what we're doing here at CBAN. So, our little nonprofit organization has grown a lot and pushing 200 members now. So, hey, if you want to be a CBAN member, I'll just throw in a little plug here to join CBAN. Go to broadbandaction.com and you'll find out, like Mark and his team found out, what we try to accomplish for our members. And I'm glad to have you on board. Before we let you go here, Mark, I just want to ask you one thing because I've been this is the year of two little letters called A and I. And so everybody now I'm starting to pivot to ask of what role AI is playing in your product today and as you continue iterating your product into the future.
Yeah, there are so many things that we're going to be able to do with intelligence, and we're already doing some route optimization and some field technician optimization via the AI, via the intelligence route. But in the future, also helping on the network optimization on the customer service side, um, and on the workflow side as well, because with all this intelligence, eventually our platform is going to be able to recommend workflows directly to our ISPs that they see are working very well and have a high success rate to acquire customers or reach out to customers to eliminate churn for them in multiple ways. So we're going to be, it's we highly believe that AGI even is probably not that far,
Hmm.
and we want to make sure that we surf that wave and enable those features for our customers. We also have today on the reporting side, we have generative AI reporting where if you don't have the graph that is already built in our platform, you can ask Gaia AI and they can output the graph for you, and you can then save
Nice.
it and refer it to other customers. So we're already doing some stuff that are very interesting. I would say we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, but we're going to keep investing heavily in intelligence over the next couple of years.
Well, it's an interesting and fascinating tool to have in the toolbox, and I think a lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people like me just don't understand it well enough, but we all need to as our business evolves, especially businesses that are technical in nature. You have to learn to embrace that change, or let it roll over you like a steamroller. So. I think that companies like yours that are innovating out there, you're on the leading edge or cutting edge, and but everybody else needs to at least learn how to speak the language a little bit. So we don't need a doctorate degree in AI. We just need to be able to, operate at least a sixth grade level.
Yeah, that's why we like to call it intelligence
Yeah.
instead of AI. We want to bring intelligence to our end
Yep.
customers and make it digestible and consumable for them to see like
Yep.
real life value to what it does. And yeah, I fully agree with you. I think it's gonna ISPs that adopt intelligence are gonna see are gonna grow much faster and have much more happy customers at a and have more operational efficiency than the others who don't.
Great. Well, hey, Mark, it's been a great conversation. I want to thank you for coming on today. And also, of course, thank you for Gaia being a CBAN associate member. Our guest today, Marc Campagna, he is the CEO of Gaia. If you are interested in learning more, just putting your website here on screen. And for those of you listening on your podcast platform, we'll put their website on the description below. So, Mark, thank you again for being a member, and thanks for joining us here.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Have a good
You
one.
bet. Our guest today has been Marc Campagna. He is with Gaia. And thank you for watching this edition of Member Spotlight.